Hey guys, this is Frozen Things Steve's here, and welcome back to another movie review. And today I'm gonna be doing a review on Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is the fifth and final installment in the Indiana Jones franchise, and the first to not be directed by Steven Spielberg. It is directed by James Mangold, and it stars Harrison Ford, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Matt Mikkelsen, Toby Jones, Boyd Holbrook, Antonio Banderas, John Rice Davies, Karen Allen, etc. And basically, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny tells a story taking place in the 1960s, where when Indiana Jones is old and about to retire, but he has not fully given up on doing some adventures yet, as he races against time with his daughter to retrieve the a legendary artifact called the Dial that can change the course of history, and must race against another set of Nazis who were involved in World War II, which was established by Indiana Jones. And it shows that Indiana Jones has been after this Dial for many years now, and yeah, they must race against the Nazis to be able to get all the pieces of the dial together and be able to use it before the Nazis led by Jürgen Voller where Dr. Jürgen Voller is wants to use it to change the course of World War II, to be able to stop Hitler. So yeah, that's basically the plot for it. Yeah, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Well, okay, where do I start with this? So yeah, I'm sure we all know about the previous Indiana Jones movies. It is certainly my top 10 favorite franchises of all time. I love this franchise. And before I talk about some things about this film and my overall thoughts, let's recap what I thought about the previous Indiana Jones movies. The first two are amazing, no doubt about it. I mean, Raiders. What more can you say about Raiders? It's Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's one of the most iconic films in one of the most iconic films in history. There's and that movie really changed the course of adventure films. It reinvented the adventure genre, and yeah, and that movie is the reason as to why we have adventure films today, because of that film. Temple of Doom may be like one of the more divisive Indiana Jones films, but I personally think that movie is underrated and it is almost as good as the other two. Yes, I will say it does have some flaws, cough cough, Woody Scott, but I love that movie. It's like it's the darkest Indiana Jones movie. It almost feels like a horror movie. It takes risks, and I really dug it. Last Crusade is my favorite indie film. Not only that, but it's my favorite movie. It's my favorite movie of the 80s now, and it's literally better than the best Star Wars movie. Yeah, the best Indiana Jones movie is better than the best Star Wars movie. Yeah, I know, right? I could change my mind on that. I could go back to saying Revenge of the Sith is better than Last Crusade, but yeah, we'll see about that. I haven't really thought about Star Wars in a while, to be honest. What else is there? Oh yeah, and of course, we got Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Oh yeah. Oh, if the original Indiana Jones trilogy is the Star Wars original trilogy of Indiana Jones, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is basically the Phantom Menace slash Attack of the Clones of Indiana Jones. I think more lean towards the Attack of the Clones because at least it's not Phantom Menace bad, but it is Attack of the Clones level bad. Where it has some stuff that I enjoy, but overall it's just a disaster of a movie. And yeah, that in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was the most divisive movie of the 2000s decade, and yeah, it was so hated. It was just so hated, and to this day, it still remains a very controversial, polarizing film. But to me personally, I certainly lean on the negative side. I still stand by my thoughts on King Crystal Skull being an awful, disastrous, mess of a movie. And it was so boring. Yeah, I literally forgot about most of the things that happened in the movie. Like, the only thing I remember is just how unlikable Mott is and how out of character Marion was. And also I still like Kate Blanchett's villain. It's by far the best part of the film, and possibly my second favorite, the Indiana Jones villain, secondly behind Elsa Schneider. But yeah, now we're getting into the fifth film, released 15 years after King of the Crystal Skull. This is called, and Harrison Ford is like in his 80s now. I'm surprised he's still alive, well and healthy, despite he actually did get injured during filming. Yeah, this movie was supposed to come out in July 2021. Like literally, it was supposed to come out in the same month as Spider-Man: No Way Home and Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One. Yeah, can you imagine this movie like competing with those? At first, I was kind of concerned about this. I feel like this movie should have been delayed. Well, maybe it could have been delayed, and it would make more sense. But yeah, whatever. Yeah, I mean, at least we still got it now. Of course, it got delayed due to COVID and ended up in this release date, June 30th. I forgot the other release date that this movie had was considering, but I remember that they always aim for a summer release date either way, because you know Indiana Jones movies always come out in the summer, and yeah, and this movie did have some competition with a lot of movies this month that flopped to literally. Across the Spider-Verse is dominating the entire month, because even with films like Transformers, The Flash, Elemental, and now this, people still go out and watch Across the Spider-Verse over them, like, and even rewatch it no matter how many other blockbusters are there. And I don't blame them, because Across the Spider-Verse is phenomenal. Like, I certainly don't blame it for them. And I will admit though, Indiana Jones 5 was questionable. I wasn't really excited for this film when hearing that this movie was going to be made. Mainly because like it was just simply questionable. Questionable, like a decision. And also, fun fact: this movie was supposed to come out and on the Lion King remix released date July 19, 2019. Yeah, it was supposed to come out there originally, but then it got delayed 2020 because to avoid comment issues with the Lion King. And then 2021, I'm honestly not sure why, but it just did. But yeah, I'll admit though, when I feel like even though having Indiana Jones 5 was a questionable idea, I liked the trailers. I thought the trailers looked impressive. I wasn't blown away by the teaser trailer. I was like, oh, that looks good. It could be a good indie film, but it's not gonna hold a candle to the original trilogy. But but the um but the official trailer was amazing. I was blown away by that second trailer, the one that came out last April. Like the whole music and the whole epicness and the whole the fact that this movie was marketed to have such a emotional conclusion. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely had faith in this movie. I was excited for it, but at the same time, still cautious about it. Mainly because it's the fifth Indiana Jones movie, and it wasn't really wanted. And I'm sure there would have been some flaws. And also another thing that kind of that concerned me was Lucasfilm with their poor track record. Yeah, sure, don't get me wrong. I liked most of the Disney Lucasfilm Star Wars movies. Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Rogue One. But then we get Solo and Rise of Skywalker, which were not good. So, and considering that Rise of Skywalker was like just like this one was a finale to the franchise and it sucked hard, I was kind of worried that we would get another Rise of Skywalker. But I was like, but another time I was like, nah, it can't be another Rise of Skywalker. But after seeing Indiana Jones in the Dial of Destiny for the first time yesterday, and by the way, I was gonna watch it last Thursday, but I couldn't due to personal reasons. But now that I finally saw Indiana Jones in the Dial of Destiny, I can definitely confirm to you all that this was actually a good movie. Yep, I actually liked Dial of Destiny. It was such a worthy conclusion to the Indiana Jones franchise, and it really shows how consistent this franchise is and how good these movies can get. No, except King of the Crystal Skull. And yes, this movie is 1,000,000% an improvement from that garbage that is Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Yeah, a terrible movie. Yeah, this movie is what the King of the Crystal Skull should have been. In fact, this felt like the fourth Indiana Jones. This felt more like Indiana Jones 4 than Last Crusade was. I don't know if Last Crusade was even canon. Yeah, this is kind of like the Pirates films where Pirates of the Caribbean films. So where I liked where I hated the fourth one, but I liked the fifth one. It's kind of like that. Although the only difference between Pirates of the Caribbean and Indiana Jones is that I did not like the third film, well, in Pirates, but in Indiana Jones, the third film was the best one to me. So do I love this movie? Do I think that this is a perfect conclusion to the franchise? And do I think that this is a mind blowing and one of the best Indiana Jones movie? No, it's not. No, it is not. Yeah, this movie did not really blow me away. It was kind of like exactly what I was expecting. I will say, like a flawed but worthy conclusion to the franchise. And this is basically the Last Jedi of Indiana Jones. Yes, Last Jedi is superior, but I mean, in terms of just how I felt about it, yeah, it's kind of like Indiana Jones, where it's kind of like Last Jedi, where it is flawed, but I still really dig it. But anyways, yeah. Now let's get into the good and bad about it. Yeah. Yeah. Let's start off with the things I liked about this movie, and then later on we'll get to my criticism. So yeah. Good things about this movie. So first of all, I will say I do like the fact that they were able to get a really good director, even if it's not Spielberg. I know people like complain about this movie not directed by Steven Spielberg, but at least James Mangold was someone to trust, and he was actually the main reason as to why I gave this movie a chance. Maybe because James Mangold is a really good director. He's an underrated director, in fact. And I've seen every single one of his films. I've seen one of his films. I even watched the Night and Day recently. Night and Day, it's the Tom Cruise action movie, the action flick with Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz, and I saw it for the first time recently. It's like considered to be the worst James Mangold movie. I would say yes, that is the weakest film he made, but I still enjoy it. I thought it was a guilty pleasure. And Dial of Destiny is, I would say, it is one of the weaker James Mangold movies. Like especially when you and Ford vs Ferrari, two masterpieces. And maybe Walk the Line. I'm not sure how this compares to Walk the Line. I'll have to think about it, but it's on that same level. And it's certainly better than Night and Day. But James Mangold really did a great job at directing Dial of Destiny. I thought he was able to do what Spielberg does, like stay true to Spielberg's directorial style, and this at least did feel like Indiana Jones. Like I still like this movie kind of did feel like a classic. Like it felt like I was watching a classic movie on a big screen. That's how great this movie is. Like you really get that classic feel of Indiana Jones. It doesn't modernize things too much. It's maybe with the exception of the time travel aspect, which I'll talk about later in this review. But it just does a great job of being an Indiana Jones movie, not modernizing stuff too much, and just making it feel like an old movie, like it came out like in the early 2000s something, which is not a bad thing, like at all. I mean, that's how great it was. The best thing about this entire film is hands down the first opening 20 minutes. The first opening 20 minutes, and and even the logo is interesting. Like they actually showed the Disney logo. Like I was not expecting that. Although I already knew that they showed the Disney logo before watching it, because I saw it on YouTube. Like someone posted it. It didn't really spoil me, but it was still like a kind of a surprise to see the Disney logo playing before the Lucasfilm logo, and even the Paramount logo is in it. And yes, so Disney and Paramount, two of my favorite studios of all time. Well, technically, Paramount is third. Number two, Sony would be my second favorite studio. Well, I'm not sure between Sony and Paramount. I'll have to reflect on it. But right now, just because of Cross Inspired first, I'm putting Sony as number two and Paramount as number three. Disney will always be number one. But yeah, speaking of that, yeah, let's talk about the backlash that this movie has first before talking about the other things. So yeah, this just like Crystal Skull and Temple of Doom, this movie received a lot of hate, specifically when it premiered at Cannes Film Festival. Like Cannes Film Festival, like, and they despise it up to the point where it made people like lose faith in this movie, knowing that it got a poor reception. Yeah, they were like skeptical about it until like there were like some until like the American critics went out and said that they were left surprised by the movie and defended this movie. I'm glad this movie hasn't defended, and I'm glad I'm actually one of those defenders. But anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. But I mean, I don't mind that people hate this movie. I'm going to say, oh, why is this movie so hated? It doesn't deserve the hate. Well. Like, unlike, something like Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, where I just couldn't stand the fact that the movie was hated, and even Frozen 2. But I will say that while I don't mind this movie getting hated, like I do think it is quite toxic, especially when people put the blame on Disney for they say, oh, Disney ruined Indiana Jones. They didn't do anything. All they did was promote this movie. But you have the whole casting crew. Hey, you even got Kathleen Kennedy. Why aren't people blaming? Why are people blaming Disney when you literally have Kathleen Kennedy involved in this? Like, I don't hear Kathleen Kennedy's name brought up in like negative reviews for this movie. It's always Disney, 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 Disney. The problem isn't the Indiana Jones that Disney hates. The problem is clearly Disney hate. And I kid you not, Disney has lost 900 million, and looks like people say that this film could make Disney lose $1 billion. And yeah, this movie is flopping at the box office because of how high the budget is here. And yeah, that it's just sad. And also, yeah, going back to Disney, yeah, why do they show? Why was the Disney logo shown now, but they never showed the Disney logo in the Star Wars sequel trilogy? Yeah, I'm sure you know what I mean by that. Like, I'm sure you know with these Disney Star Wars films, they only show this one logo, but they never show the Star Wars logo, and I thought that was that was what to expect from this film, that they were just going to show the Lucasfilm logo, but they showed the Disney logo. So I wonder why. I mean, if you guys have a good explanation to that, let me know down below in the comments as to why they showed the Disney logo in this movie, but not in the Star Wars movie. So, but anyway, back to the first 20 minutes. Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna go as far as saying, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but the first 20 minutes of the movie, might probably be my favorite opening in the entire franchise, and arguably my favorite scene too in the entire Indiana Jones franchise. Although it's either that or the truck chase in the first movie, in the first Raiders movie. But yeah, I mean the opening 20 minutes of this movie was beyond epic. Yeah, if you thought the Last Crusade, the opening battle was epic enough, wait until you see this one right here, because it was just exciting. First of all, yeah, D.H. Harrison Ford is absolutely perfect. I mean, I love the way that they did the de-aging to Harrison Ford, creating a young Indiana Jones, and he looks perfect. Like, they did so well. And he even that gave it that Indiana Jones feel to it, and I loved it. And yeah, and it definitely opened up at a bang. Even after them showing the Lucasfilm bang, there was already a massive action. It's a already massive action. Like, there was this really insane scene where this nuke was dropped into the tower where Indiana Jones was being hanged, and then bang, it exploded, and that was insane. And then we get the trains. We get the train where we get introduced to the dial, and you're again like Captain, and then we see Indiana Jones and his partner Basil Shaw, who is Helena's father. And then to see them on a train just in action, it was just amazing. I was that moment right there, the first 20 minutes, absolutely blew me away, and it felt like a short film. Like, I know it's just a prologue, but it felt like its own movie. Like it could have been just a short film. Like, it could have been simply a short film. I mean, if you take away the rest of the movie and make this a short film, then it could have been like on one of the greatest, if not the greatest, like Indiana Jones movie. And yeah, while the rest of the movie doesn't really live up to the first 40 minutes, there's still some really good things about the film. Now talking about Indiana Jones himself, he's still really good. I know some people, most a lot of people's complaints about this movie. It's just the fact that Harrison Ford is too old to play Indiana Jones, and those and they would give him like far too much work to do. I can totally see that, but to be honest, it didn't really affect my thoughts. Like, Indiana Jones aging did not really bother me. Mainly because I still like him. I still care about him, especially when he acts like an angry grandpa. Like Harrison Ford still got it. That he still nailed it as Indiana Jones. Like Harrison Ford, yeah, he still knocked it out of the park as Indiana Jones. Just as great as he did with Han Solo in Force Awakens. In Force Awakens, and yeah, you still like and you really do feel his character. You still care about his character. You still care about where he's going through, and you really do root for Indiana Jones. So, I mean, at least they didn't lose track of his character, despite him aging. I think they still do a really good job with him. Um, and then we got some great supporting characters as well. Like Mads Mikkelsen as Jurgen Voller. I mean, Mads Mikkelsen, yeah, he did feel like just typical Mads Mikkelsen, and I will admit like it's definitely not his best performance, but I don't think it's his worst either. Like, I saw some people say that this is his worst performance. Like, have you seen Chaos Walking? That is a true bottom of the barrel performance from there. But yeah, sure, he's not like the chief from Casino Royale will always be his best performance, and even he did a better job than Grindelwald in this film. And also, I like him better than Rogue One despite the limited screen time. But Matt Mikkelsen was certainly one of the better parts of the movie, as it seemed like he was having so much fun with his performance as the main antagonist of the film. But the thing is that he actually was not the standard antagonist of the movie. The standard antagonist of the movie would have to be how do you pronounce his name? Boyd Holbrook as Clapper. Yeah, basically the mustache guy with always like pointing a gun at Indiana Jones and chasing him constantly. Yeah. To me personally, he was a standout villain, as he is one of my favorite Indiana Jones villain. Actually, remember when I said Kate Blanchett in Crystal Skull was my second favorite villain? Actually, he's might be my second, Clapper. Just this really awesome dude, and he's just so much fun to watch. And boy, it seems like he's like giving such a fun performance as him. And I know I'm biased because he was the villain in Logan as well. Like he was like the assistant villain to like the main villain, who was kind of like just like clever. Get this movie also will give you Logan fans. I should mention as well. It almost feels like a PG-13 version of Logan. But yeah, and the action scenes are really good too. The action scenes are really good too. Specifically with the scene with Indiana Jones chasing the horse. Not I mean with Indiana Jones on a horse and like riding his horse in the subway. That was a great scene right there. And of course the car chasing. Personally, I prefer the horse chasing than the car chasing in the middle of the movie. I think each action scene to me just gets weaker as it goes along. And of course the final battle, which I'll get to it later. But I feel like the first battle is the best one. And each action scene just gets weaker, but for the most part they're still really good. They're still really good. And also I really like the kid, who is very similar to Short Round. I know people criticize him for just being a Short Round replacement. Yeah, sure, he's not as good as Short Round, but I enjoyed the kid. He was very charming. He did capture the same charm as Short Round did. even yeah, second Sean Run is better, but I like the kid, that Teddy. And what else is there? Oh yeah, also like going back to the action scenes. Yeah, I honestly don't I honestly don't understand why people claim that is all CGI and green screen. I did not feel the CGI in this movie. Like I didn't feel the CGI in any of the action scenes, so I don't get that criticism as like with the CGI and stuff. Oh, and also now despite my true feelings towards the climax of the film, which I'll certainly get to later on. Oh, by the way, there will be minor spoilers in this review, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, then well, I don't know if you would say depends on your mood, or maybe just leave it. But yeah, I don't really mind that you guys will can just leave this and not watch until like you saw the movie for itself. So the movie for itself, I usually don't put much spoilers in this review in my reviews just in favor of the Frozen community watching it, because usually I watch movies first before them, and a lot of Frozen community members would watch the review before even seeing it, but but mainly due to the fact that I've lost the Frozen community members, and plus the fact that many of you guys have seen it already before I did, I'm gonna put some big spoilers in this. Yeah. Yeah, despite my major problems with the ending, that climax I'll get to later, the ending was really sweet and kind of emotional, especially when we got to see Marion and Indiana Jones reunite after being divorced. It was really nice to see Marion, and I did not think that we would see her. I thought that Marion died, but thankfully Marion was able to return back to Indiana Jones, and they had this really sweet you know game back and get reunion. And I know like they did kill off Mott Williams, Shia LaBeouf's character in the fourth film. To be honest, I don't mind. I don't really mind about him not dying. Yeah, I understand why he died, and I understand why he died, and also I'm actually glad I'm. Wait, no, we're okay. Let me rephrase that. And I wouldn't mind him not being in this film because I don't want to see more of him. I don't want to see more of Shia LaBeouf's annoyingness. Yeah, like I'm sure you guys probably know that Mutt Williams is my least favorite Indiana Jones character, and Shia LaBeouf is my pick for the worst actor. For no, not the worst actor, but the most overrated actor. I mean, the more I think about it, Sam Witwicky is the worst character in the Transformers. Like I can't stand him. So yeah, but however, guys, if you're just gonna type in the comments saying that, why are you saying that about Mudstep? Why are you saying that you're being heartless? Now, no, hear me out. I am not saying I'm happy about Mudstep. I'm saying that I just don't really mind. At least we don't get to see him in this movie. But if you guys say I'm being heartless, well, I do feel bad for him though. I will say I do feel bad for him, like getting killed off. It's almost like how Duke from the guy from Duke's son from Kingsman. I think his name was Conrad, if I'm being not being mistaken, was killed off in the war. I know it was done exposition wise. Maybe we could at least see him dying in this movie, but wouldn't celebrate Mutt's death. I wouldn't do that. I'm not. I would never cheer at the character's death. Like, yay, this character died. Ooh, unlike cough cough Joel's word to her fan. I mean, if Poppy dies in the Trolls film, I will just feel neutral about it, but I wouldn't cheer for it. Yeah, that's kind of how I felt about Mutt's death. I felt neutral about it. I'm not feeling too bad about it. I feel bad for that character, even though I don't like him, but I am certainly unhappy either. So yeah, you don't need to call me out on that. And okay, where was I at? Oh yeah, and let's talk about the standout character of the film. To me, my personal favorite character in the movie, Sala. Yeah, Sala. I mean, despite the limited screen time that Sala had, I mean, the actor playing him seemed like he really had a fun time returning, and he stole every scene he's in. And even had some great dialogue as well. Like, this movie has a pretty decent dialogue, not much that is noteworthy, but Salah's dialogue is really what made his character like just really good and stand out from the rest. Like I miss the desert, I miss the sea, I miss waking up every morning wondering what adventure we have in store. And then let's not forget Give him hell in Indiana Jones. Yeah, I had a huge big smile on my face when I saw him like saying that. Like, yeah, Solo. I wish we got more Solo. He was by far my favorite character in the film. So yeah, I know I said in comments on Letterboxd that Indiana Jones himself was my favorite character, but thinking about it again, Solo, like on reflection. But that's all for the things I really liked about this film. Now let's get into my cons with the film, my flaws with the movie. My flaws with the movie, sadly. Yeah, I definitely this movie is certainly flawed. So yeah, where to start with this? Well, now let's talk about Helena Shaw because Helena seems like the most controversial movie character of the year, and she literally topped Willie Scott as the most hated Indiana Jones character. Now I will say that I'm not a fan of Phoebe Waller-Bridge. The only thing I like about her from what I've seen before this is her involvement in No Time to Die. But even with that, I don't I can't really recall exactly what she did in No Time to Die. Like I honestly don't remember much about her in No Time to Die. Even though I've seen the film 8 times, I never really thought about recognize that Phoebe Waller-Bridge in it. Maybe she is probably the weakest link of the film, but sorry about that. But okay, where was I? Maybe she is the weakest link of the film. Even though, either way, for sure, I'll still probably like her in the film if I remember what she did in it, what she contributed in No Time to Die. Because let's be real, no, it's No Time to Die. It's a perfect movie. It's hard. I can't say anything. I cannot say any flaws about that movie. But by far her worst performance is L3 from Solo: A Star Wars Story. Oh my god, L3 was beyond annoying. I think she was the worst character in the Star Wars Disney Star Wars saga, and she was literally the Jar Jar Binks of Disney. Arguably worse. Arguably worse. Although I still think that the kid Anakin is the worst Star Wars character for me. Um, but yeah. So Phoebe Waller-Bridge in this one, I honestly feel conflicted about how Helena in this one, because Phoebe Waller-Bridge kind of tried. I guess she did put a bit of kind of put some effort into her performance, but yeah. She, she's better than Willie Scott. I will say she's nowhere near as good as um nowhere near as good as near as good as Will and Marion and of especially Elsa. Because Elsa's my favorite Indiana Jones character. But I would say but I would say with Marion, the best way to describe Marion is that no, sorry, the best way to describe Helena is that she's harmless. She's a harmless character. Like there's nothing bad about her. Like there's something like again there were some bad things about her. Like there are times when she can be just be unlikable. Like I remember at first when we see Helena Shaw for the first time in the beginning, I was like, really, is she really that bad? What could go wrong with her character? And I was just, I kind of wanted to dislike her character to be honest, but I was like, okay, well, she's not that harmful. She's not that harmful. Like she didn't really do anything like too wrong to like ruin the movie. There are just moments of her being either unlikable or annoying. On speaking of annoying, oh god, don't get me started on the worst scene in the film. Basically where the scene when Helena was like dun, 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 bam, 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 and then like basically Indiana Jones and Helena were like in the cave, and then like basically they had to shout to be able to find a spot to put in the dial like something like that. But you know how they try to figure out what is the spot that like they had like the loud spot in the game, they had to sing annoyingly like bum 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 bum. I was so annoyed by it. I was like it was just annoying, and yeah, that was by far the worst scene in the movie without question. Well, way back to Helen, yeah, she can be unlikable, annoying, but there are times when I was like, okay, yeah. And I will say yes, I do have a crush on her. Not gonna lie, I think she is pretty cute. She is pretty, but yeah, sure. Elsa is still my main Indiana Jones crush, and I do prefer Marion over her. But I mean, I mean, good looking. I guess she does look gorgeous. I will say, but although I can't really say I really like her, and she's the best character because of because of those times when she's just unlikable. But I will say though, two of these anti-SJWs and in the toxic internet fandom, so whatever that is, please stop bullying. Please leave Phoebe Waller-Bridge alone. Stop bullying Phoebe Waller-Bridge. As much as people blame Disney for ruining quote unquote ruining the franchise, they also put the blame on like kidding not Phoebe Waller-Bridge. What did she do wrong? Like why? I mean, why not blame Kathleen Kennedy? I mean, I can't. I think Kathleen Kennedy is the worst. Kennedy is the worst CEO out of all CEOs. Worst the CEOs. But why blame Phoebe Waller-Bridge and say, "Oh, Phoebe Waller-Bridge ruined the franchise"? Like, come on, stop, attacking her like or something, and stop sending death threats to her. Like, don't make her the next Moses Ingram, please. But yeah, another major problem with this movie is that it is way too long. It's like 2 hours and 30 minutes, like 35 minutes, and you really do feel the runtime, especially when the other Indiana Jones movies were like range from 1 hour and 55 minutes to 2 hours and 7 minutes. This one could have been 2 hours and 10 minutes long, but no, they stretched out so many scenes. There were a few scenes that dragged, but nothing much that affected the movie. But there were like a lot of scenes that felt overly stretched out and could have been like short at the it could have been shortened. But yeah, but maybe I guess it's because of the first 20 minutes. But I mean, but seriously, you can't have Dial of Destiny without having included the first 20 minutes. Yeah, that would have made me like the film less. I would have liked the film even less if it wasn't for the opening 20 minutes of the movie. But I think one of my biggest stuff, um, one of if not my biggest issue with the film is the concept of the time travel. Yes, the dial can time travel and and Jurgen wants to time travel back to World War II to be able to stop Hitler and quote unquote correct his mistakes. But guess what? When they actually like travel back in time in the film, they literally go back to the to like BC, like to I forgot which day specifically. I'm not familiar with the Archimedes history, something like that, but yes, they go back to Archimedes time, like when they still had all the wars and stuff, and like going back to that time period kind of felt really out of place to Indiana Jones. So I get it. Indiana Jones loves history. I know a lot of people say history is their favorite subject. Not me personally. I'm okay with history, but there are times when I don't memorize a lot of things. But yeah, but this having the ending take place in history, yeah, it did feel out of place with the story and stuff. But yeah, but I think another problem is that the time travel concept felt wasted. It only happened for like 2 minutes of the film, and then we got the quote unquote final battle, which is probably the one of the worst action scenes in the franchise. Basically, it's just Clabber shooting a bunch of ships, and I would say the only thing I liked about this time travel scene was when the soldiers like referred to the plane as a dragon like so many times. I'll admit that was funny, but why did they need to go back there? Why not just straight up just go back to World War II or something? Why Archimedes then? Oh, I guess because the dial was made by Archimedes, who basically needed someone from the future to help them win the war with their technologies, how could he predict how could he predict those things would happen in the 21st century or 20th century or whatever century the 1960s was? Like, how does he do that? Yeah, the whole time traveling thing felt so illogical, like with so much plot holes and stuff. And of course, let's not forget, the fact when that Indy like said he was going to die, and then Helena just smacked, like just punched him up to the point where until and then woke up in the present. Yeah, that was literally leaked online, and that's actually the reason as to why people like lost interest in this movie, mainly because of like the spoiler ending. But yeah, it was not very good decision, like not good idea. It felt so anticlimactic. But at the same time though, I still like the ending just for the fact that that we got to see Marion. But yeah, so overall, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is a worthy conclusion to the franchise. Yes, sure, it is too long. It is too long. The time travel stuff wasn't very good, and that wasn't very good. And Helena's conflicting. But even though I think she's not a bad character overall, the movie still has its great moments, great action, great characters. Harrison Ford still like still has it as Indiana Jones even despite his age, and it was just a fun movie, enjoyable movie. Nothing mind blowing or anything, but I still really dug it, and I think it does not deserve the hate. I'm okay with seeing like bad reviews for this movie. I'm just sick of I just don't like people blaming Disney and or Phoebe Waller-Bridge for that. Especially with the fact that he got Paramount in the logo. Like, even though I don't want to say blame Paramount because I am a Paramount fan as well. I'm a fan of Paramount, and also Kathleen Kennedy because she is an awful CEO, and she deserves to get fired at some point. But yeah, even if it wasn't needed, I'm still happy that we got a good film on its own and a pretty decent Indiana Jones movie. So with that said, I'm gonna give Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny an 8 out of 10. I'll try to know 8 out of 10, came close to being a 7, but it's still worth giving 8. So yeah, not as good as the original trilogy, but far better than the Crystal Skull. Ugh. So yeah, that's all for my review of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. What is your opinion on this movie? Do you agree with me that this movie? Do you agree with me that this movie was? Do you agree with me that this was a great, was a pretty good conclusion to the franchise despite its flaws? Do you love this movie and say it's an amazing conclusion, or are you one of those people who just disapproves this movie? Comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for my review of Mission Impossible 2. Oh, sorry, rant on Mission Impossible 2. I don't plan on doing my ranking of all Indiana Jones movies. If you want to see that ranking, it's on my community post. So yes, if you want to see my ranking of all Indiana Jones movies, just go to my community post. So yeah, bye guys.